Alvin Kamara finally back in black and the gold for the Saints, and that's massive because he is going to completely change this offense. What they haven't been able to do so far, Alvin Kamara will fill in those spots and give them the ability to do those things. You'd love to be entering this game 3-0, unblemished. I thought 2-1 would be a good spot to be when Kamara comes back, and that's what the team is. And I know that, we could go on and on like we did on Tuesday about how they should have beat the Packers. That fourth quarter was absolutely embarrassing, but look, it's in the past. We can't change it, so let's look forward and think about what can change in the future with the Saints, and I think Kamara is going to change a lot. Now, one thing that I'm looking for, not only in this game but all season, is how do the Saints use Kamara with Derek Carr when he gets back, whether it be this weekend or sometime in the future, in this offense, because the passing game's really good. There's a lot of good receivers, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Juwan Johnson at the tight end spot. More options than I think that they've had in the past couple of years. And in the past couple of years, Alvin Kamara has seen a lot more touches. In 2021, he averaged about 19 carries per game, which was way above what he'd done between 2017 and that point. Now, in 2022, last year, that number dipped down to 15 carries per game. And I wonder if we're going to see more of the 2021 version of Kamara or the 2022. Because they went out, they got Jamal Williams from the Lions in free agency. They brought in Kendre Miller, drafted him. And then Tony Jones Jr. as well, who's played a lot for the Saints already at running back. What I want to see is, are we going to see a mix-up in that running back room? Are some of those carries going to get distributed to a Miller, to a Williams, to a Jones, to take some of that pressure off of Kamara? Because he's getting a little bit older, and I don't think he can continue to take that amount of a workload and stay healthy, right? You just lost him for 3 games for something that didn't even have to do with football or an injury or anything like that. So now that he's back, keep him healthy. I think you got to rotate those running backs in a little bit to take some of the stress off of him. With that said, though, he's got to touch the ball a lot, obviously, whether it be out of the backfield, on a handoff, on a pitch, or whether it be as a receiver as well. Because last year when you didn't have Kamara, this offense wasn't really good to begin with, and that's why you had a losing season. But even when he came back, this team looked like it had at least a little bit of an offensive spark, right? I did like a little bit of a micro study into some games last year where Kamara was injured and missed some of those games and how the offense was different without him versus with him. So he had an injury early in the season in that first game against Atlanta, and he missed the next 3. In those games he missed, not only did New Orleans not win a single one of them, but the offense was terrible. They put up 10 points in a loss to the Bucs, who they played this weekend. Only 14 against the Panthers, who just were not good last year. And then 25 better, but still not where you want to be, to the Vikings. In those games, they had about 300 total yards against the Bucs, 84 rush yards against the Panthers, and 338 from a total standpoint against Minnesota. So not explosive offensive outputs. And obviously that's going to happen when you're missing, I would say, your best player on offense. Now, Kamara comes back after that loss to Minnesota. What happens? New Orleans puts up 39 points in a win against the Seattle Seahawks. He carries the ball 23 times, maybe too much, but apparently needed all of them. He went 100 yards on the ground, and he led the team in receiving with 6 receptions for 91 yards. And he led the team in receiving quite a bit last year. He was the focal point of the offense, as he should have been. That's how important Kamara was to the team last year. Now coming into this season, you've already proven you can beat teams that you're on a level playing field with or slightly better than without your best player. You went 2-1, you probably should be 3-0. Now that Kamara's back, this offense, I've said it before, is going to be really tough to stop, and I've got the utmost confidence in New Orleans to win this division purely because of its offense. And, I mean, the defense has been great, too. They're on my fantasy team. I've enjoyed that each and every week. Last week, the fourth quarter obviously wasn't great, but there's a little bit more to it than the defense playing bad. So it's a really good team. Derek Carr, we don't know what his status is for Sunday or going forward. The fact that it's not a serious injury is good, so he's questionable right now. They haven't ruled him out just yet as far as I'm concerned as we're recording here on Thursday. So he could play, he could not play. Even if he's out for just a week or two, though, that's a big win because you get him back, then Kamara's back, you're back at full health, you're back at full strength, and I think this offense is going to be very, very tough to stop week to week because of the amount of ways they can attack opposing defenses. Now, as for this game against the Buccaneers, my biggest question is, can New Orleans get the ground game going? The Eagles gashed the Bucs for 200 yards in their win 25-11 against Tampa Bay last week. Can the Saints do the same? I mean, they have the guys to do it. They've got the running backs that they can rotate in and out. Kamara's obviously back. Your offense is definitely slightly worse with Jameis Winston at quarterback than Derek Carr. That's how much he means to the team. But I think the Saints will win this game against Tampa Bay. And I think they're going to cover the 3.5-point spread because I think Jameis Winston can lead this offense. He just needs to be someone that can come in and not screw it up because you've got all those options, all those ways to, scheme against this Tampa Bay defense. Kamara's explosive on the ground. So I think the Saints can certainly win this game. I think they will find a way to run the football. And if Jameis can just not turn the ball over, I know that that's a big if and that's a big question mark. If he can just avoid doing that and not hurt this team, then I think the Saints should win this game, no problem. Back at home, 3.5-point favorites, got the home crowd back with you, and Kamara being back is massive. So I think with the running back, and obviously it will help if Carr plays, I think New Orleans comes back, picks up win number 3 on the season, and beats Tampa Bay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section.